Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Coffee and Football, presented by Texas Road. I'm your host, Blake Monroe, where I'm joined every day by Bobby Burton and Jerry Hamilton. As always, tell us where you're checking in from, what you're drinking, get those questions in. We're going to get to your questions here in just a little bit. But yesterday we opened up talking about Arch Manning, a couple of the receivers heading down to Louisiana, and Bobby Cooper Manning ended up posting this late yesterday evening, I guess I should say.
Yeah, Arch is in the trunk in New Orleans in this photo. I thought Cooper had a sense of humor here. In the back seat, I think Ryan Wingo, Emmett Mosley. In the front, Cam Coleman, Sterling Buckhalter. Just so y'all know, I was told by someone that was in attendance, they went straight from the airport. A couple of them went straight from the airport to working out down in New Orleans. Arch, his foot looks fine, no problems. He's moving really, really well. Unbelievable workout from what I was told all around. Guys hung out yesterday afternoon, etc. Look, this isn't just happening in New Orleans, though, and I know Arch gets a lot of the notoriety, as well he should. I mean, he's the quarterback of the team, but he's not the only one, Jerry. You brought up a photo or a video, actually, of Texas defensive end Richard Wesley and what he's out there doing out in California.
Yeah. Hey, can you bring back that picture, though, Blake, real quick?
Yeah.
I'm just glad that Arch didn't have the middle seat this time. That went to Sterling Burkhalter. So Arch clearly said, I'm not sitting in the middle. I'm going to take the picture. So that's he didn't have the middle seat. Of course, there wasn't a girlfriend with him. So now he did have his pass catchers with him. But yeah, look, Richard Wesley's out in Cali, SoCal, working out. And he's working out with Marcus Fakato. So that picture, Fakato posted that last night, I believe it was, on his X feed. So that's always you got a lot of recruiting things going on like this right now. Guys that are back home working out with maybe a player that Texas really wants. So you got a lot of that. Richard Wesley was working out with Colin Simmons last week before he went out to Cali for a few days. There's a bunch of guys. I think Lance Jackson and Colin Simmons are working out today and this week together. So we'll have more on that. But there's a lot of guys out and about getting their workouts in. Trevor Gooseby is out in LA as well with his agency, working out with NFL players that are members of that agency. So a lot of guys getting in those workouts before they report back. I'm pretty sure everybody reports back on June 1. Then they have their medicals and workouts get going a few days after that. I think it's the same in football and basketball. Guys report back May 31st. Medicals begin June 1. Workouts start a few days after that in football and basketball. I'm pretty sure they're on the same time frame, talking to guys that have signed with both.
A couple of new guys showing up too. Lawrence Seymour set to come in on May 31st, I believe. So he's on the precipice. Darius Snow, a couple of others. A lot of, to Jerry's point, and the reason we brought these up is really to tell you guys that's what these kids are doing right now. A lot of people say, oh, they're on break, they're in Cabo or whatever nowadays. They're doing more than that. They're out there actually working together and trying to work with these individual trainers nowadays. That's kind of what their summer break has become. It's no longer a summer break. It's just more grind for those guys, and they may be doing it at home instead of in Austin.
A few people asking if Easton Royal made it in yesterday. Do we have
to the group? I don't think he did. CJ Vogel said he was going to try, but I don't think he did. And that's not all that surprising. Easton Royal, though, just as a sidebar, because Jerry and I were talking about him. There's been some talk about him flipping and all this stuff. As of right now, Texas feels very confident, but they also know that this is one of those big boy recruitments that is going to go to the end. He is a highly coveted prospect and one of the top 5 players in the country in the eyes of the Longhorns.
And I maintain the same as last time I was down there. Florida's 2, LSU's 3 in that recruitment. Texas is a clear 1. Florida's 2, LSU 3. Ole Miss and Tennessee are on the list. They aren't getting him.
Well, before we tell everyone about our sponsor this morning, I wanted to read somebody's check-in. Your Dirty Water with Super Chat says, listening from Columbia, South Carolina, where Lavazza, hope I'm saying that right, Lavazza coffee is $12.99 a bag and Bluebell is $9.49 a half.
One healthier than the other.
Is it though? I mean, Bluebell feels healthy to me. Homemade vanilla.
Yeah.
That is my favorite. By the way, we talk about coffee every so often on this show. Don't forget, we have our favorite from the guys in Austin there that we work with, Medici Roasting, for Cowboy Coffee. I would say this: if you, Jerry, we rarely do sidebars, but I do have to ask you your favorite ice cream flavor of all time. Mine is literally homemade vanilla from Bluebell. What is yours?
Rocky Road all day long.
Rocky Road. So
all day long. And my number 2 is Ben and Jerry's fish food. PHIS.
Blake, do you even you look like you've never even had ice cream sometimes.
So ice cream is actually my guilty pleasure. I can eat pints of it at a time like nobody's business. Especially Bluebell. Mint chocolate chip. Yep, that's mine right there as well. Mint chocolate chip. And also every summer Bluebell comes out with a flavor called Homemade in the Shade. Oh man, it's the best.
What is it?
It's vanilla ice cream, but they add like some chocolate, just a touch of chocolate stuff in it, and some swirls and stuff. Oh, it's freaking phenomenal. It is the best ice cream ever. I wish they made it year round. I'm glad they don't, but I wish they made it year round.
By the way, I will add, if we had Planet Fitness Justice Terry on here and we said coffee or ice cream, the way he looks, he's going coffee. Planet Fitness isn't loading up pints of ice cream. I don't think. I don't think. By the way, I do need to say this. I'm gonna spend 30 seconds on this because I've said this before to people. While he stays healthy, and you never know with somebody with that height and build, go watch Wemby play in person one time while he's healthy.
Did they go triple overtime yesterday?
Double. But I mean, there's never been anybody like him in basketball, ever. I mean, a guy that's going to can go block and change shots on one end and take the ball and pull up from 28 feet on the other end. That's 7'5". We've never seen anything like it in the history of the game of basketball. I don't know how long he'll stay healthy. So for people that just appreciate greatness, spend the money and go watch the guy play in person one time while he's healthy, because TV doesn't do it justice. It's something to watch somebody go from a foot in the paint to blocking somebody's three in the NBA, the highest level in the world, and then take the ball off the rim and put it on the floor himself and pull up from 28 feet. We've never seen anything like it in the game, ever. Just keep him healthy for 10, 12 years if possible.
Congrats.
It will not be a long career.
Congrats to the Spurs, by the way, beating OKC in that matchup last night.
Yeah. All right. Well, before we move on, and we got some interesting stuff to talk about next, but before we do that, Bobby, let everyone know about our friends at Texas Road.
I can do it. Our friend Rick Valro and his team at Texas Road, they are your full-service solution for major road projects in and around the state, with the full support of multiple crews performing utility, dirt work, concrete, and asphalt. Texas Road provides on-site concrete through volumetric trucks for smaller volumes. They're able to complete road building in a high-profile environment. Again, they are your full-service solution for major road projects in and around the state of Texas. Our friend Rick Valro and his team at Texas Road.
All right, thank you, Bobby. So this morning, I was looking around, and every year, Athlon Sports they talk to anonymous coaches across different conferences. Well, it just so happened that the SEC one dropped right before we came on the air, and a couple of coaches had a couple of things to say about Texas here. I'm going to read y'all some of these quotes. Remember, these are SEC coaches talking anonymously about conference foes for 2026. One coach says they made some bold moves. Obviously, there's a ton of money in that program, so you got to feel like they made moves that they felt they had to make their program better. What's that going to look like after a loss or two? I don't know. Another coach said, I thought Arch got better as the season went on. Is he what he was unfairly hyped to be? Probably not. But I think he's a good, solid quarterback in this league. Another coach, on paper, I think they're the team to beat in the SEC. They might be preseason number 1 again. And then the last quote we have, fellas, Manning is going to be just fine. I think he did such a good job of managing it, but he was put in a tough situation. It was literally a Heisman or bust situation for a kid who hadn't played yet. But he's super talented. He does everything right. He prepares hard. He will be just fine.
Not exactly glowing overall from these anonymous coaches. Not that you should expect that, right? A lot of them take little digs here and there. I kind of wonder if Brent Venables is the ones that said, on paper, I think they're the team to beat in the SEC. They might be preseason number 1. I think he's just hoping that he sees a big target on the Longhorns this year. Now, the comments about Arch, Jerry, are really intriguing to me. And I'll say this because you and I both follow college football as much as anybody can, really. And we don't just watch Texas. We watch them all, et cetera. I am still kind of stupefied by the number of people that are intelligent people in this business that don't realize how much Arch improved over the last half of the season. Like they remember Ohio State and they can't get it out of their mind. And I'm not saying he was perfect down the stretch either. Like he still missed some easy throws, but he was a categorically different player the last half of the season than he was the front half. And some of these quotes it's like they don't even grasp what you and I saw and everybody else saw on the field of play. We're not saying he was perfect down the stretch. He was a hell of a lot better in November and December than he was, or in November than he was in January, or than he was in September. And I still am not seeing that enough, that recognition of that fact enough from national analysts. Maybe here or there you see it, but you don't really see that capitulation.
Yeah. I think what's interesting about this is head coaches of SEC teams. That's what I think is interesting about these comments is they're head coaches of SEC teams. I think the number one thing that Arch can do to change the college coach opinion of him, his catchable pass rate has to go up a little bit. If it does, because I think when these people played against Arch or they broke down video and had all the analytics on Arch, his uncatchable pass percentage was a little high. I think with Arch, if he takes that next step, which I think I absolutely can do this year, I think that's going to change the narrative from college coaches that kind of scout them and play Texas. But look, he's the first prospect, and I've said this since he was a senior in high school. He's the first high school athlete that I've ever seen that was built up and broke down. That normally happened more at the pro level. He was the first guy that brought that to the high school level. And, whether it was somebody said, well, he threw an interception against who doesn't? Well, he doesn't play against great competition. A lot of the best players in the history of this game did not play against great competition in high school. He was literally the first prospect I've ever seen built up and broken down like he was a pro athlete at 17 years old. And I think it's going to continue in college. It'll continue this year. If he plays really good against Ohio State, then doesn't against Tennessee, it's going to be the same thing. I think he's going to go through this his whole life as a pro athlete. It's or as a high school, college, and then pro athlete. He's going to be consistently built up and torn down. And it's something he's going to have to live with because I don't think it's changing because it's too many clicks. There's too much opportunity. But to Bobby's point, he improved a lot. I mean, it was ugly. The first 4 games were ugly. I mean, let's just be real. And he turned it into really good the last few games of the season. That's a dramatic change to make in a season because the amount of pressure he was under is more than any other college player I've seen, maybe except Tim Tebow at the year after he won the Heisman. But that's not the same.
Hey, Jerry, let me ask you this. The last 6 quarters of football from Arch Manning, okay, that the last half of A&M, the entire Citrus Bowl, other than Trinidad Chambliss, who played better at quarterback than Arch Manning in those last part of the season, last 6 games, or last 6 quarters? Did anybody other than Trinidad Chambliss? Mendoza, perfect. I agree.
I mean, it's hard to say because he wasn't in the playoffs.
Right.
Carson Beck played really well until that last pass.
Yeah.
He played really well in the playoffs.
Yeah, he did. He didn't make turnover. He didn't throw turnovers.
Yeah. I mean, so it's hard to say. Were there 12 guys better? Probably not. Were there could all fans around the country argue there's 8 guys as good or better? Absolutely. But he played just to where he came. The thing I'm proud of Arch, like I'm any blood relation to him, but I was proud of Arch after he came back from UTEP game, because the UTEP game, I think for a lot of athletes would have been a serious mental hurdle to get over. That was he had the yips. He threw a swing pass into the stands almost. Like, that's not normal. So I was proud of him as somebody who covers him, has seen him since high school, that's never had a deep conversation with him, people. I was proud of how he rebounded from that, because that was I thought was a really difficult situation to be in for him, with the expectations and the pressure he had. My prediction is in 10 years, 12 years, whatever it is, there's going to be an interview come out with Arch, and Arch is going to say the best thing that ever happened to him as a athlete was the struggles the first 4 games of the 25 season, because I think he had to fight through tremendous adversity right out of the gate as a starting quarterback, and he proved to himself he can rebound and get past it. And I think it's hard to do on that stage for some athletes, and some guys never do it. And I predict in a decade or so, he's going to say that was the biggest key and turning point for his career, was having to face extreme adversity and overcome it, and then ascend after that in the same season. There's some athletes it takes 2 or 3 years to get past that. I mean, one of our own that we love, Jordan Spieth, has he ever gotten over 12 at Augusta? In a weird way, has he ever gotten over 12, the 12th hole at Augusta? Some will argue no. And that guy's a Hall of Fame golfer. It's hard to do. He did it in 1 season, and that's why I think he's going to ascend this year more than people think, Bobby.
Yeah. I hope so. Do we know if Arch was let out of the trunk from Nacho Avenger? You may get you're the early leader for post of the day in the chat, Nacho Avenger. I think he was let out of the trunk, and then they threw some balls around the yard. So, yeah. Jerry, my point that I was making, that I wanted to really get your take on, that I was asking about, is the idea that the media or whomever, maybe even some SEC coaches, that's what I was getting at, didn't actually see or witness some of that growth that we saw. And so because of that, I think that some of the preseason hype around Arch is relatively muted in comparison. And I kind of wonder if that's a good thing. I think the hype train has been toned down, despite, frankly, him slightly. It has been. People aren't out there saying, "Oh, he's the greatest thing since sliced bread." This time last year, he had done no wrong. He had never lost a game, never thrown an incomplete pass of note. You know, I think that expectation level is now settled a little bit more. He's more comfortable with it, and it's not as big. And so I actually think that the media not being as hyper on him will actually allow him a little bit more time to get get going this season. I think it's going to be a good thing.
Yeah, I do. I'm going to be interesting. I'm going to be interested to see the build up at OSU again. I think that's going to be interesting. I agree, Bobby. It can't be. Well, I don't want to say it can't be. If he goes and throws for 350 and 4 touchdowns against Texas State, it's going to be right back to where it was last year before the Ohio State game.
No. I'm not talking about once season starts. I'm talking about right now.
Yeah.
The expectations for him are somewhat muted. And I think the reason they are is because people remember early season Arch and not those last 6 quarters. I'm telling you, look, Mendoza had a great year. Other than Trinidad Chambliss, I'm still not sure that anybody played a better last 6 quarters of football in 2025 than Arch Manning. I'm just telling you. Running, passing, leading, the whole 9 yards.
We have a super chat about this as well from Joshy Manning. Thank you, Josh. Says, what's crazy to me is that the Arch criticism doesn't apply to other quarterbacks. CJ Carr got better as the season went on, but he played no one. Moore was objectively bad against good teams.
Agree. This is what I'm talking about. It's like the criticism on Arch is it was the die was cast after Ohio State. And then he didn't bounce back immediately and start throwing the ball around the yard. Now he went and beat OU, but it was more of a workman-like performance where he just took care of the ball and made a couple of really great throws. I agree that that CJ Carr gets all the love in the world. Good player. He deserves it. Jerry and I both are high on him. Dante Moore did not play well against better competition, to your point. So I think we'll see this year. There are going to be a number of good quarterbacks. Julian Sayan's really good at Ohio State. He comes in that first week. I've mentioned Trinidad Chambliss numerous times. Sam Levitt was injured last year. He's now at LSU. But we'll see where it all comes out to. But I feel pretty confident about Arch Manning going into 2026.
I will say this on it's not CJ Manning and it's not Dante Manning. That is a big difference here, to be clear. Like, that is a big difference. And those guys were never going to be built up and broken down and torn down in high school either. Like I said, Arch is the first guy I've ever seen that happen to as a high school recruit. Maybe Bronny James, if he'd have stayed in college, it would have happened to him. But that was never going to happen. He's the only other guy that I think it could have been possible to do. But Arch is the first guy I've ever seen that done. And I think CJ Carr got some leeway because he balled out against Miami in that loss. That was his first start ever, and he played really well on the road in Miami. I think that gave him some leeway in his struggle time. But again, it's all about the last name. I mean, remember Arch when he popped onto the scene his freshman year at Isidore Newman, he immediately got ranked the number 1 kid in the country in his class. Was that fair? Are those rankings? And I was part of them, and I bucked them. Is that fair to really? Are we really ranking 15-year-old football players nationally 1 through 100? All that's doing is setting up guys for failure. Is all that's doing, because you haven't even started your physical growth at that point in time yet. We've been in an industry where we're going to rank these guys as freshmen in high school before they ever start their physical growth. So Arch was ranked number 1 as a 15-year-old kid in the country. He only had one place to go with the name Manning. And he continued on, and then he got in a position where he was going to be torn down. And he's the first one I've ever seen it happen to.
All right. Let's see here. We need to talk a little recruiting this morning as well. But before we get to that, I want to read a super chat from Rocky P, because we talked about this yesterday. We touched on it when Marcus was on, and we'll use this to lead into recruiting. He said, posted this on OTF yesterday, but still can't believe high school kids did this. Dylan Mitchell ran 9.92 to win the 100. Noah Lyles ran 9.95. Blake Hamilton ran 19.86 to win the 200. Jordan Anthony ran 20.05. Now, a couple of those, of course, were wind-aided, fellas. But still, impressive nonetheless.
The Big Ten winner ran 9.74, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, Jerry and I are on a separate thread with a couple guys that listen to this show that we've been friends with for 20 years, probably. Now, we were talking about the quantum leap that track times have been made over the last really 5 to 10 years. There's just been 10.6 used to be flying in high school. If you ran 10.6, Jerry and I, our ears perked up if you played football, because that was, now it's 10.4, it's 10.3. And then there's guys that are, levels above that or better than that. And, we talked about the why to that. I think certainly bigger, faster, stronger, earlier nutrition, all this other stuff is party to it. But I would equate it to a couple things. One, the popularity of Usain Bolt when these kids were young made track cool again for some guys that are really good athletes. So it's like Tiger Woods influenced a era of golfers, right? Carl Lewis, by the way, 30 years ago, influenced an era of sprinters that improved it. So I think it's the Usain Bolt afterglow that caused some really good players or athletes to get into track. But also, I think it's the training now. They are so technical in the sprints compared to what they were even 10 years ago. Slow motion cameras have got them down to where they know exactly, and all this data analytics, it is permeating that sport in track as much as any, and the results are eye-popping, to your point.
And it's not just as popular and nobody covers it because there's not really a living doing it. But AAU track has come year-round track has come a long way, especially in Texas and California, to Bobby's point. And those guys, they are really modifying technique at an early age with these guys. I'll tell you what was interesting to me too, that Jelani Watkins, if y'all remember from Klein Forest, who signed with LSU, he's now at Arkansas, won the 100 in the SEC, 9.95. And he's been sitting in that range for anywhere from 10.1 in high school into the high 9.9s for 2-3 years now. That's where I'm watching Dylan Mitchell, because Jelani Watkins never grew vertically, right? He's 5'8" still. I think if Dylan Mitchell stays 5'8", I kind of wonder where his level out's going to be in the 100, because he's the kind of the guy everybody's talking about. His brother grew 3 inches after age 16. If Dylan Mitchell does that, he'll probably be an Olympian.
Well, let's talk a little recruiting this morning here. Jerry, what do you got for us?
Yeah, we're going to look at the official visits on the offensive side of the ball. We've added Brock Williams into that. Now he's announced June 5th through 7th will be his official visit after he committed. Landon Williams-Callis, the 19th. Obviously, Noah Roberts committed. Sarad Baker, Texas Tech commit. We'll see if he actually makes that visit. Wide receiver, that list has been cut way down for us. Easton Royal, we already hit on him. Texas, a solid position there. Florida 2, LSU 3 in the people trying to flip. Ole Miss and Tennessee don't have a shot. Monshun Sales, obviously looks like June 19th through 21st. Bryson Thrower is going to be June 12th through 14th. Jeremiah Douglas, Vanderbilt commitment, June 5th through 7th. I think that's where the main focus is. That doesn't mean another receiver won't visit at some point. I think that's where the main focus is. We have your tight ends there. Offensive line, obviously Cook, Hemphill, Woods committed. They're coming in different weekends. I think they're kind of spread some of those guys out just from a standpoint of a coach. You can't have too many offensive line guys on campus for an OV because you have one OL coach, right? So you kind of got to spread those out. Wide receiver, the same thing. So everybody gets attention and nobody feels left out. Brian Swanson, obviously Texas lean from South Oak Cliff. Number to Texas staffer in Gilmer to see Ishmael Kamara yesterday. I think that is large percentage NIL recruitment. It could go a number of ways. Jasper Ngakwe from Richardson, Reed Ramsey, Texas lean at First Academy in Orlando. I was there last week. Lucas Rowe out of Lutheran. Ramsey and Rower play different positions, by the way. Those are two different guys in a coaching staff's mind. They're not the same positional players. Lucas Rowe is a tackle swing player. Reed Ramsey, while he plays tackle in high school, I think is looked at as more of a guard center guy. So two different players. Khalil Johnson from Cincinnati, Ohio, scheduled to come in. Lincoln Maggio, that's the one I'm watching to see if he comes in. Caleb Seiler, obviously 6'8", towers over his schoolmates at Gunter. He's scheduled to visit late in June. It'll be interesting to see if Texas gives 5 or 6 on the offensive line. I think from an NIL standpoint, where guys are slotted and other people have them slotted, it may be tough to get 6. I think Texas would take 6, but it has to work out from an NIL perspective as well, with where other schools may have some guys slotted versus where Texas has some guys slotted. And I think that brings the level of unpredictability to it. But it'll be interesting to see, Bobby, if Texas actually gets a second running back in this class, at least early. I think that's going to be something that's going to be interesting to watch. I would say the odds are probably a little lower, but we'll see what happens by mid-July.
Yeah, I think Sherrod Baker, who's committed to Texas Tech. We talked about this before we went into this show, and it's doubtful he makes this visit, even though it's scheduled. And I don't know how hard Texas is really working to make him make that visit, right? So We'll see. Landon Williams-Callis is a little different in that he is a tremendous player. Texas loves him. Obviously, they love Noah Roberts too. So I'm not trying to pit them against one another. It's just, at what level do you go at running back in the high school ranks? You know, how hard in Landon Williams-Callis is going to command a pretty penny in NIL. And so when Jerry starts talking about slotting and these things on the offensive line, it's not just on the offensive line that is happening. It's in other position groups too. But I will say this, outside of the offensive line, Jerry, there's a lot more going on defensive recruiting right now.
Yeah.
And so we'll go over that at another time. But by and large, Texas getting ready for this first weekend of official visits, June 5th. They do have some juniors coming in or some underclassmen coming in the last week of May, but it's not official visit. It's kind of mixed in with a camp, et cetera.
Yeah. Yeah. And we'll be watching quarterback in 28, that last weekend in May, early June. Dave Rell said Baker's still visiting. He's still on the list. Let's see if he actually visits. People asked about linebacker. Somebody asked, is Toa Satele the number 1 backer on the board? I hesitate to say that, because here's the reality of linebacker. It's pretty much 3 different positions at linebacker now. I mean, is Israel Hammonds, Jaden Nelson, and even a Jabarius Garor can be that overhang linebacker. So it's a little different. Inside linebacker, Joakim Gouda is the top guy. So then I think Satele at the other spot is the top guy. So I kind of hesitate to say who's number 1, because there's 3 different positions of that. I think Satele's number 1 at his spot. But if you take the pass rush linebackers, they're going to be your number 1 guy.
So this is what I was going to say to you. So Jerry, it's just like you can just say defensive back, corner, nickel, and safety are different.
Yeah.
Why can't they be different positions at linebacker?
Yeah.
And that's what you're getting at. And I agree. And I will add this, as Jerry mentioned, pass rushers, they are a premium.
Yeah.
So, you know, if you get after the quarterback, it is a premium.
Yeah. And those are the NIL premiums.
Yes.
So they automatically go to
clear. We're not talking about your
on the board.
We're not talking about your insurance premiums.
Yeah. Yeah. They're the, yes.
We got a couple of other recruiting questions here. Jesse wants to know, will Texas recruit Jaden Spriggs out of Navasota? Have you heard anything about Jaden Spriggs, Jerry?
I have not heard anything about him with Texas. I will say that. But that doesn't mean he's a 2028 kid. So it's still early. A lot of those guys, let's see who shows up, because the reality is the Texas staff can't get around to see all these guys. They see a lot of them, but they can't see they can't see all of them because it's those 2028 guys because you only have a certain amount of days on the road. And then as you saw yesterday, there's some recruitments that Chris Jackson was on a plane with the Texas offensive staff going to see Ishmael Kamar. Like the whole offensive staff was at Easton Royal School last week. So guys are losing some evaluation days on the road to go see top targets, right? So as a group sometimes. So you can't see all these guys. The kids like the Spriggs, some of the other guys, 2028s, we'll learn a lot more about them with Texas if they show up at summer camp and if there's some things that come out about certain players, whether they're offered or even, hey, this is a guy who showed really well. We're going to watch him this season and may offer him. I think that's the late May, early June camps will be very telling on 2028 kids that maybe Texas didn't get out and see.
Hey, Jerry, I gotta ask you this. You know, I've told the story before of when everybody's called a 5-star, a 4-star, or a 3-star, right? And you know, I was in the room when we actually came up with stars back in like the late 1990s. The diamond, we were going to call them 5 diamonds and 4 diamonds, and the diamond didn't look right on the page. And so we started tinkering with it, and we came up with stars. That's why everybody's called, I mean, literally, that's why everybody's called a star these days.
Yeah.
I was in the room. There were 3 of us there. One of them was a web developer that didn't know football from a hole in his head, and me and another guy. And long story short, I wonder nowadays if we need to start changing the stars to bills, like dollar bills.
I
mean, you know, because really you start talking about guys that are commanding. It's not so much what the recruiting industry thinks of them. That's more what college coaches think of them because they follow the dollar. So do we need to start changing it from 5 stars to 5 bills?
I think look,
that's a fair question, right?
I have no problem with that, honestly. I have no problem with that.
I mean, that's where it's gone to, because now it's not you and I saying, oh, because I saw it yesterday. I saw some Jordan Scruggs, who's, by the way, done tremendous work already out of the gate for us. If you haven't noticed him, he came over from Horns 24/7. If you didn't hear yesterday, just doing a bunch of work. He wrote Bryson Thrower as a 3-star by the industry composite. Well, Texas ain't treating him like a 3-star.
No.
And neither are other teams from an NIL perspective. And so how do we get that part into, I mean, do we need to do away with stars and say bills? I mean, I know that sounds almost sacrilegious, especially coming from me, and I'm the guy that helped start it.
I think so. I mean, I really do. And because the problem people of the rankings have gotten into with star rankings nowadays is they rank kids so early they box themselves in.
Oh yeah.
And they hose themselves in rankings. And so we can only have so many guys from this state ranked a 4-star. Well, what if a state has just great players at that position in 1 year? I mean, you like that process has boxed themselves in. So I do think it's also a way to change.
5 wallets. 5.
Yeah, it's also a way to continue a ranking process and not be boxed in my opinion. Because when you rank, we were just talking about Arch Manning was ranked number 1 as a freshman in high school. Well, I don't know who 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, 7, and 8 were, but kids hadn't even started physically developing truly yet at that point. So you box yourself in when you assign a 5-star or a 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever with these guys. I think with where we're headed and all this, I don't have a problem with it. Somebody said bags. That would be funny. The bags.
McDonald's bags back
for Tennessee recruits. Yeah. If I was running a Tennessee side, I'd start having 5 McDonald's bags for their top guys. I would have fun and play off of their probation or whatever happened. Maybe you go back to the Albert Means days and you have 5th floor elevator for a 5-star, 4th floor, 3rd floor. I don't know, but I think we're headed there.
Yeah.
I absolutely think we're headed there.
I think the idea of I'll just say this as someone that helped create it. I think the idea of stars are somewhat antiquated now.
Ooh, could you do it? Hey, Coach Steve Sarcasm has Lamborghini for the 5-star. Ooh.
Oh, for Texas, that could make sense.
See, I think we got to play off of whatever school's kind of spiel is.
Yeah, I like that. But I do. Do you agree with me that stars is now an antiquated system to a degree?
Yeah, because people have boxed themselves in. Yeah.
Probably been that way for about 5 years now.
Yep.
Oh, man. All right, guys. Well, before we move on this morning, I need to tell everyone about one of our sponsors today. That, of course, being Prize Picks. The NBA playoffs are here. The Spurs just played last night against Oklahoma City in a classic. And this is the perfect time to jump in with Prize Picks. What I like about it is how simple it is. You don't have to overthink it. You just pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections. You build your lineup. And then every bucket, every rebound, every assist, every big playoff moment feels a little more intense. I'm telling you, it is super easy. So easy, Joe Z can do it. And it's not just the NBA. You can make lineups across baseball, hockey, UFC, soccer, golf, tennis, college hoops, esports, and a whole lot more. Plus, Prize Picks is now available in all 50 states, including Texas, California, Florida, and Georgia. So pretty much anywhere you're watching from, you can get in on the action. And right now, they have the Do It Live NBA Finals Sweepstakes. Just make a $5 lineup with at least one live NBA player pick during the playoffs, and you could win a trip for 2 to the NBA Finals. Pretty sweet deal. Live player picks are made after the game has already started, so you can watch the flow of the game and then jump on in. All you have to do is download the Prize Picks app today. Use code ONTexas. They're going to give you $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Again, code ONTexas to get $50 in lineups after you play that first $5 lineup. And that's Prize Picks, a preferred partner of the NBA.
So we have to start because somebody just brought up a great one. I think OTF has to start ranking other teams. We'll rank Aggies classes by sheep. Mark Matthews has 5 sheep.
Oklahoma could be 5 wagons.
Yeah, I think that's what we have to start ranking SEC teams classes by.
Texas Tech could be tumbleweeds.
South Carolina's is Gamecocks.
Oh, Jerry.
Yep.
Jerry, a little close on that one today, buddy.
Miami Hurricanes classes by fans. They'll have 5 fans next to their highest rated recruit and one fan. One fan next to their lowest.
It'll be the Florida International will be the one fan shows up, and the 5 fans will be when they play Florida State.
Yes. and for Tennessee, it's Manning's. Picture of Peyton Manning's. 5 Peytons is for like their top highest rated.
No, we already decided it's McDonald's bags.
Maybe McDonald's bags for them. Yeah. Hey, for Bama fans, you have to have fun. Yeah. Georgia's 5 speeding tickets for their top.
Yeah, Sarah nailed that one.
Sarcasm's on the. We're getting great ideas. This is great. LSU is shirtless lane pictures, 5 of them for their top rated recruit, like in a yoga pose. But this could be a lot of fun.
I'll tell you what. Let's.
Well, we're talking 5 clover leaves.
Yeah.
Ole Miss 5 woven baskets. And man with the classic zinger there.
Yep. This could be good. Oh, Vandy would be Pavia's. I like that.
Do they get progressively taller?
Yes. Offensive linemen are tall Pavia.
Goodness.
Oh, USC overdone briskets, 5 of them for the highest rated guy.
Lincoln Riley.
Well,
the highest rated defensive player is a pissed off picture of Gary Patterson, like throwing his visor or something. We have a lot of fun with this. There's a lot of possibilities there. Michigan's is scouting videos, or pictures of Connor Stallions for their highest rated recruit. See, we're coming up with a whole new ranking system today.
I like it.
I do too.
I'm going to attempt to steer this back to real football for a moment, talking about rankings. SEC or CBS Sports came out with their SEC power rankings this morning, guys. This is post-spring here. And while we're talking about all these SEC teams and their new recruit rankings, we might as well talk about the teams themselves. Texas, number 1. Georgia, 2. LSU, 3. Ole Miss, 4. A&M, 5. Alabama, Oklahoma, Tennessee, Florida, Missouri round out your top 10. Curious to get y'all's thoughts, any agreements, disagreements, anything way out of whack in y'all's opinion.
I just to tell you, Texas plays what 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They play 7 of the top 10.
Yeah. That's that brutal schedule.
Yeah, it does say brutal schedule.
And I want to say this: Mississippi State will be better than 15th in the conference this year. That's supposed to be the off game for Texas. I think it's going to be Arkansas is more likely to be that this year. Mississippi State should be better than Vanderbilt. They'll be in that 10, 11, 12 range in the SEC, I bet, this year with the new quarterback. Yeah. He's a good player.
Bobby, wouldn't you immediately flip Tennessee and Florida? I would. I'd flip those. That's one for me. I agree on Mississippi State. If they're not better than Vanderbilt, I'd be a little surprised. I mean, we have fun with Diego Pavia. That guy was an unbelievable college leader and changed the program. It's hard to agree with the true freshman.
I'm reading this A&M comment, elite D-line. Do you agree with that?
A lot of people like what they did in the portal. Let's see how it plays out.
Elite, though?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know about elite. I just don't. I mean, unless I'm just off base there, I didn't see them do anything that I considered elite along the defensive line. And they weren't elite last year on the defensive line, in my opinion. And they lost, a second round? What was that? Did Hal go in the second or first round? Can't even remember.
First, the kid from Iowa State in the portal was a good player. Albert Regis ended up being a good player for them. They lost 4 draft picks.
But I didn't consider them elite on defensive line last year. Anyways, long story short, the teams that get me, Jerry, I do agree with you. Florida over Tennessee. I'm just not – I mean, apparently Tennessee's going to go with the true freshman is what it's sounding like right now. Over McIntyre, who was the redshirt freshman. So Brandon Falzell, who's I think one of, if not the top-rated quarterback in the 2026 recruiting class, is apparently winning that job. I don't know. I'm a little perplexed why A&M is 5. I think they should be more 8, 9, 10, something like that. Maybe I'm wrong, but I
think they're bringing in too much talent because of NIL juice to be that low. Personally, I mean, if Holman Wiggins totally flops as a play caller, I could see that. I just think the teams from an NIL standpoint that are bringing in a lot of players, I think it's going to be hard for them to be that low.
Yeah.
I mean, I just think it is because look, I mean, the reality, and people don't like it. I keep saying it, but man, if
you think A&M's better than Alabama,
I could see it. I could see it. I could see it. Now, a lot depends on who wins the Alabama quarterback job, how that plays out in the season. I mean, there's something. I would have Oklahoma over Alabama to start the year.
I was about to ask, where would y'all put Oklahoma?
I would have Oklahoma over Alabama to start the season because
they beat them last year, so they should be.
Yeah, and I mean, you think about look, we have fun on this show with some of the rivals, but you also got to give people respect too. Like Brent Venables, we all thought he was going to be fired. He made the playoffs. You know he's going to put a good defense on the field. They lost some key players, but you know he's going to put a competitive defense on the field. So it really comes down to their young offensive line. Are those guys going to look like NFL players? Fasusi, Foji, who Foji was really – I loved him coming out of high school, see him in person. Are those guys grown up going to look like NFL players? Well, if they are, their run game's going to get a little better. And Mateer in year 4 in that system, year 2 in the SEC, will be a better player. How much better, I don't know, but he'll be better. It's a natural progression for a guy. So I would have them over Alabama to start. I would. But that doesn't mean I'm right.
Yeah.
You know, that doesn't mean I'm right. Somebody's asking, did Georgia replace Branch? I'm not sure they replaced Branch with a Branch-like player. But again, Georgia's going to be a talented team. That my concern for Georgia is they had a couple of really key injuries in spring. Their number 1 portal recruit out on defense. So defensively, they've lost a lot. They're like Ohio State in a way. They've lost so many players the last 2-3 years. That can you be as good year in, year out on defense if you're Georgia? I think because the mentality and what Kirby is, they're going to be really good. But is the offense going to have to score more for them this year? I could see that. a little bit. Hey, Bobby, here's a question. Trinidad Chambliss, because somebody said, is Trinidad cleared to play this year for sure?
The answer is no. Nothing is for sure. He has been given an injunction that should keep the NCAA at bay through this season, however. So the answer is nothing is certain, but yes, it is looking highly likely. I would put it in the 90% range if I'm handicapping that somehow.
And the reason I asked that, do we need to address this Sorsby deal? I mean, the picture of the judge that's going around. I mean,
that's crazy.
Could you bring that? I mean, seriously, this is where the world just.
I retweeted that, Blake, so it's in my X feed.
We do need to address Brendan Sorsby. I think we have to, because you said something that I completely agree with yesterday, Jerry, on TexasFootball.com. The young man bet on his team.
Yes. While
a member of that team. Now, he bet on a number of different things in life.
Yep.
That's fine. But he bet on his team.
Mm-hmm.
And anybody that's ever been in this knows the difference. And the Texas Tech, before we go to this outrageous photo that you see now, if you're listening on
the judge is on the left, by the way.
Yeah. Sure he's not the one that's in the Red Raider outfit?
I mean, I think that's Cody Campbell in the sky.
My point on this, though, is that now there's this big mea culpa from Brendan Sorsby. Oh, it's going to hurt my mental stability. I'm not going to be able to do this or that. It's going to hurt me financially if you take this opportunity away for me. We're filing this induction filing this, and we want a very quick judgment on it. And I'm just laughing. I mean, here's why I'm laughing. One, because the request is absurd.
Yeah.
Okay. You bet on a team. The NCAA is not going to allow you, or should not allow you, to bet on one of your teams and maintain your eligibility.
Can't.
Okay. That's number one. Number two is Texas Tech's like, oh, we're looking for a quick, this should be quick. We need to get a quick answer. Well, of course you need a quick answer, because guess what? The NFL supplemental draft happens at the end of June, we believe. So of course they want a quick answer, because otherwise the kid's just going to go, this whole, oh, it hurts me financially crap goes out the window if he's got an NFL draft pick. And, oh, well, it's going to hurt me mentally if I can't be with my team. Okay. Should have thought about that before you gambled on your team. I mean, there are repercussions for things in life. Life is not, it's not a free walk. You don't get to do things and have no repercussions about it. And Jerry, so I thought when you wrote yesterday on TexasFootball.com, if the NCAA can't stand up to this, I don't know what they can stand up to. And furthermore, you called out Texas Tech and said, I can't believe they even have the audacity to try to get behind this BS. And I completely, if this were Texas, and it happened to a Texas player, I would not be sitting there, oh, let's go to a judge and get a favorable ruling.
Yeah.
That you can't tell me that I would be doing that because I wouldn't.
Yeah.
And yet you took Tech to task, and I agree with you 100%.
Well, I think it's the interesting part about this for me. It really interesting. And look, I'm not trying to throw Joey McGuire or his staff under the bus, okay? Because I know there's higher levels to this stuff, but y'all know how many high school football fields and locker rooms I've been in over the years and heard the speeches from the coaches? What you are not supposed to do, culture talk, which is an overrated term, team, all the things these guys talk about. It's the height of hypocrisy if they don't take a stand against this guy playing for their team. And I know it goes above them, but that means every conversation you ever had with your team in high school and college, any recruitment you've ever been a part of, was total BS. Total BS. Because not once has any coach ever sat in an in-home visit and said, you know what? If Johnny bets on his college team, it's okay with us. We'll get through it.
It's going to hurt him mentally not to be part of this team.
That's the thing as somebody who's been in this business and my dad coach, that's the biggest issue I have with this. What are all your speeches for the last 30 years? What are they for? To parents, to kids. You would never, ever go along with one of your players betting on the team you coach. But now you're going to fight for that guy? Give me a break. Height of hypocrisy.
It's beyond hypocrisy. It's self-serving and completely self-serving. And, look, my guess is somewhere along the line, there's been an athlete at the University of Texas that has gambled on a Texas game.
100%.
Okay. So if we knew about it, we should do something about it. Okay. So I want to be clear about that. The people that say, oh, well, you would just be trying to do the same thing. No. And it's just like, I wouldn't be trying to do what Michigan did with Connor Stallions. Oh, well, it didn't really help us that much. I mean, there are certain things that you just don't come back from. Betting on your own team is one of them.
Well, Bobby, it's the same.
At least sit out a year. I'm not saying you have to be forever forgotten in life,
Right.
but I'm not ruling for the Pete Rose. You're terminably, banned from the sport. I'm not even saying that, but for there to be no repercussions because, oh, well, I was an addict. There's plenty of guys that were addicts that are in the state pen, not for gambling, but for other addictions. So for there to be no repercussions on something like this or for what Connor Stallions did, it just strikes at the integrity of the game.
Well, and here's the other thing, Bobby, to that point, Connor Stallions, he's not scouting college football anymore. He's in a high school. There were 10-year show causes come out of all that deal. If Sorsby gets to play this year, that's unbelievable to me. Like I said, I'm not looking for a lifetime ban or anything, right? If he did get it, it would honestly be deserved. But because you bet on your team and you knowingly did it, and it goes beyond, oh, I had an addiction. Nah, I mean, you bet on your team, man. But that's the other thing. It's like, oh, just go into the NFL supplemental draft. Raise your hand if you take him. You're going to put that guy in an NFL locker room? Maybe with Terry Rozier's locker room, but nobody else's.
I gotta bring up the quote from his affidavit while we're on it. I rationalized placing those bets as a way to feel more connected to the team, to root for my friends, and to feel like I had a real stake in the games that I was otherwise not involved in. Because the Indiana football team was not a very strong competitor in 22, I lost most of the bets I placed.
And you knew you lost.
That's a wild quote, man.
Wow. Okay.
I needed to bet to feel more connected to my team. The logic there, it should not be grasped or counted on in a court of law. But let's go back to the photo of the judge again, if you don't mind.
Yeah, give me just a second here to pull
This
it back
is the
up.
judge who's hearing the case. And yes, he is the one in the jacket, not in the overalls. That's the judge.
So here's what I think. Here's the question I have.
Nuts, man. Just nuts.
So, and I'm serious, if he gets an injunction to play, if you're Arizona State, or where Texas Tech plays on the road, because I wondered if this could happen with Trinidad Chambliss, but will there be anybody that gets an injunction that he can't play in the state where Texas Tech plays on the road? Can they file their own injunction and say he should not be allowed to play in our state? He's had, if he gets an injunction to play for Tech this year, that's really going to be in the state of Texas. Can you then go and say, you know what?
No, this is a federal injunction. They're seeking a federal. So this is a federal law. So if he gets an injunction in Lubbock, it actually is going to go to federal case. It gets kicked to the Court of Appeals in New Orleans, actually. So it's a federal case. You're right about Chambliss, though. So this one's a little different, Jerry.
Yeah,
this is federal. But your point being, you know, what your point is, what recourse do we have to keep these kinds of things from happening?
Yeah.
And the answer is too few. Too few right now.
All right. Wild quote.
That'll be interesting.
I wanted to feel connected, so I bet on Blake Monroe.
Hey, that's a winner every time. That's all I know. Speaking of winners, Jerry, why don't you tell everyone about South Point Dodge this morning?
Yeah, there's nothing like Texas football and nothing runs like a Ram. South Point Dodge is Austin's Ram headquarters. Their deals are hotter than a Saturday in DKR. Huge save or a brush fire in August, right? Huge savings on Ram trucks and Jeep SUVs, plus exclusive perks for non-Texas football listeners. 90 days to make your first payment, and we'll ship your new ride anywhere in Texas or beyond. Over 600 vehicles in stock. So whether you need a workhorse or a weekend warrior, we've got you covered. Visit southpointdodge.com or come see us off I-35 in South Austin. Get to the point at South Point Dodge.
Good stuff. All right, we got some super chats that we need to jump back into this morning. And let's start here with Spank Boogie 312. Thank you for the super chat. Can Texas afford to be vanilla against Texas State?
Hope so. Somewhat vanilla. You know, at the same time, what I think they need to do, and then obviously it's the game that's prior to Ohio State, you want them to get some rhythm and timing. Of all things that need to happen, I think that's what needs to happen most. Have the first half be somewhat competitive, but get down your rhythm and timing on offense in particular.
Yeah.
And no big busts on defense.
Yeah.
Those are the priorities.
I think vanilla on defense, and you're gonna go for it on offense.
All right, and then our next one this morning comes from Edmund Lee. Thank you, Edmund. Good morning, OTF. Tim Horton Black this morning. Great to see the 289,000. Keep it going to 300,000 by the Ohio State game. Hook 'em.
Let's do it. I think that we're at 289,000 subscribers on YouTube channel. Thank you all so much for being a part of it. I want to use this time to mention that we do have a special going on right now on OnTexasFootball.com. 3 months for just $3. It's an introductory price, 3 months for $3. It renews at an OTFOG rate of $39.95 if you don't cancel beforehand. But please give us a try. We're doing a lot of good work over there at ontexasfootball.com. Jordan Scruggs joined us just recently yesterday. Hank South came in as managing editor a couple of months ago. It is getting ready to be football time. Got a lot of recruiting news and notes coming out there right now. This 3 months will get you partially through fall camp as well. So make sure you check us out. Again, on TexasFootball.com. Join the conversation with guys like Joe Z, Joshy Manning, and all the rest.
I mean, I probably wouldn't have mentioned Joe, but that's all right. We got another super chat here from Jeff Carey. Thank you, Jeff. Does ESPN rank differently than the others? If so, how? I'm not 100% sure if he's referring to like power rankings, recruiting rankings, or
I think it's recruiting rankings because we had such a spirited discussion about that. They do like a 1 to 100 type rating, don't they, Jerry?
Yeah, it's different. Like class rankings too. They're the only people that don't have a formula for class rankings, which I actually like. By the way, on that one is I think they just look at teams, they look at needs, and they roll with how they think that team did in recruiting versus putting it into a formula where, I don't know, 17 or 18 or 19 or 20 guys in a class count, like all of them don't count, and then it's a formulated system that gets to a ranking. ESPN's the only one from a team ranking standpoint that doesn't do that, which I actually like that there's variance, by the way.
And then, Jerry, that new offer went out yesterday evening, it appears. And we've had a few people actually ask about this guy. So I wanted to have you weigh in. This one from Justin Ray. He says, Jerry, what are your thoughts on Texas offering wide receiver Jaden Herndon out of Longview yesterday?
Really good player. He's been good since his freshman year at Longview, which is hard to do. I mean, like that's how talented he was as a freshman in high school. So look, he caught 13 for 190 his freshman year, but he played on varsity. That's hard to do at Longview. But this past year, he had a tremendous season, 57 catches for about 1,100 yards, 14 touchdowns. He can really go get it. He is going to be one of the higher-rated receivers. If he continues, it's going to be one of the higher-rated receivers in the country in the 28 class. And he is a very, very talented player. I'll say that. And that's not a surprise. That was an when, not if, when Texas would offer Jalen Herndon. And he's got about 15 offers, closing on 15 offers right now. He's about 6'1.5", 180, 185. But I think he's got a chance to be a top 100 player in the country when all's said and done.
Nice. Okay. And then while we're in East Texas, Jay Dobbs says, Jerry, with your Spieth reference, I'd like to know if the East Texas high school coach's son who played quarterback was a great golfer. Did he end up choosing football or golf?
Jet Surratt is playing college golf. I think he made it to state again this year. He ended up hurting his shoulder, his throwing shoulder, and he played through it for a couple of years, but he loves golf. He loves golf. Scott Surratt used to be a scratch golfer. That's not a shock. But he was a golf family, and he loves golf. He will play college golf. I think he's going to go JUCO route 1 year, and he had some D1 offers, but I think he's going to go JUCO 1 year and then decide where he's going to go after that. He's got a chance. I think now that he's going to fully focus on golf, he's got a chance to really ascend. His ball speed's ridiculous, over 200 miles an hour for those that haven't seen the videos. Pretty crazy.
And we got the uncle of Jaden Herndon in our chat this morning. Thanks for joining us. Appreciate that.
Longview should be pretty good this year, by the way. Quarterback, I think, is back. They got some good pieces on offense at Longview. They should be pretty good this year. Hopefully, Coach King doing well.
Well, we're going to close with some current team-related questions. But first, Bobby, I'm going to let you tell everyone one more time about our friends at Texas Road.
Yeah, absolutely. Texas Road, your full-service solution for major road projects in and around the state of Texas. With the full support of multiple crews performing utility, dirt work, concrete, and asphalt, Texas Road provides on-site concrete through volumetric trucks for smaller volumes. They're able to complete road building in a high-profile environment. Again, Texas Road, Rick Vavro, and his team over there are your full-service solution for major road projects in and around the state. Thank you to Rick for his ongoing support of On Texas Football. I really appreciate it very much. Hook 'em to Rick Vavro and the guys over at Texas Road.
And let's see here. Our next question this morning comes from Kamala7735, and then I have a follow-up for it. It says, hey, guys, can Texas offense be as dynamic as the 2019 LSU offense? And then we had a follow-up to that from NIL and RevShare, hopefully more like the 2025 Indiana offense, a more balanced offense than 2019 LSU. So y'all's thoughts?
Yeah, I don't think it'll be 2019, Bobby. That's
2019 LSU was outrageous.
No.
2 first-round receivers, a first-round quarterback, or first player taken, first-round running back. I think that would be ridiculous. And I don't know if it's that, but is a 2025 Indiana offense possible? Absolutely, in my opinion. I think Texas will have potentially a better set of receivers than Indiana had, which sounds almost crazy given that Indiana had a first rounder and another one taken as well. But I think that Texas has that capacity. We'll see if they can do it game after game. The key with Indiana is they were consistent just about all year. There weren't a lot of ups and downs with them. Now, granted, they weren't tested as often as Texas will be in 2026 because their schedule just wasn't as difficult. Yep. But Indiana under Mendoza has been was remarkably consistent. So Texas has to prove that level of consistency. LSU's 2019 offense, nobody was ready for that style of offense in the SEC at that time either. It wasn't just the players. It was the scheme had something to do with it too. Great players though. Geez. Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson. I mean, they're tremendous players.
Those two offenses are drastically different too.
Yeah.
I just looked at it. LSU threw the ball 52% of the time and ran it 48%. Indiana ran it 62% of the time last year. They only threw it 38%. I think we'll see. I think if Sark has it his way, it's 53% run, 47 pass. That's what I think it's statistically has been in that 52, 53 range, run 47, 48% pass. I think for Texas to be at their absolute best in the SEC against this schedule, I'm hoping that run percent is higher than pass percentage. We're talking 52, 48. 52.5, 47.5. That's my hope. That's my goal for the offense.
Naaman Roberts. Bobby, do you think 45 touchdowns gets Arch the Heisman?
Probably. I would say probably.
It's a lot of touchdowns.
Gary, that is a lot of touchdowns. There's the Texas single season record right there.
And it probably means you play.
What if it's 35 passing, 10 rushing? Then is it still? I'd say it's still a hell of a lot.
Depends on if you get in the playoffs. If you don't get in the playoffs, you ain't winning it.
Yeah, that's probably true.
Like 45 touchdowns is probably 15 games.
You'd have to have a Barry Sanders like season nowadays.
Yeah,
where you're just statistically a freak show to win a Heisman without getting into the playoff, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And we'll close with quarterback recruiting over general question. Roger Goodman says, I asked this question last night to Rod, CJ, and Coach, but do you think we see Texas going after quarterbacks that can use their legs more instead of pocket passers moving forward?
They have. I mean, frankly, they have. I mean, Dia Bell and KJ Lacey can move in the pocket. Now, they are not primary runners, though.
Yeah.
I mean, but they move better in the pocket than Quinn Ewers did. More athletic.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens when they have 300-pound SEC defensive linemen bearing down on them, granted. We haven't seen that yet.
Yeah.
But they've already gone for more, what I would call more athletic quarterbacks.
28 will be interesting because Neiman Lawrence who's now at American Heritage. He was from Ransom Everglades in Miami. Then he went to Miami Northwestern as a sophomore. Now he's at American Heritage. The Northwestern kind of blew up over there a little bit. He may be more of a pocket guy. So not a pocket guy totally, don't get me wrong, but even more so. It'll be interesting there in 2028 if he remains their top guy after camp, because AJ Milwaukee's been out and watching guys, and there'll be quarterbacks show up at camp competing with Neiman Lawrence to see who's the number one guy and the guy that Texas truly goes after. But if Neiman Lawrence, Texas only has 3 offers out. One's committed to Georgia, and it's Neiman Lawrence, and then it's Ty Simpson's brother, who we'll see if that actually is legit. But right now, Neiman Lawrence is the legit offer at quarterback in 28. We'll see where it goes in 2028 if they offer anybody else coming up at camp.
All right, guys. Well, that's going to do it for this episode of Coffee and Football presented by Texas Road. We want to thank them along with South Point Dodge and Prize Picks for sponsoring today's show. Of course, thank you all for tuning in as well. Don't forget, hit that like and subscribe button, ring the bell so you're notified anytime we go live, post content, whatever it may be. And speaking of content, Bobby and the crew has it for you later today. What is it, Bobby?
Jerry's got the recruiting breakdown. Jordan, I believe CJ and Jeff are going to get, or Hank are going to get together, talk a little bit more recruiting. We talked about the offensive recruits during this show. They've got some other stuff coming up as well. We also have lots of news and notes on ontexasfootball.com. Make sure you check us out over there. Then we have the live stream coming back at you later tonight. Also, I will say this. Hank and CJ might have a little special video coming up because some of those players that we said were working out at different places, one of them is in Austin right now. And Hank and CJ are there visiting with some of those players. So hopefully we have some news and notes for you guys later.
Yeah. And as Bobby said earlier, one more time, over at ontexasfootball.com, if you're not a member, take advantage of this offer. $3 for 3 months. Limited time offer. New subscribers only. Come join the community. Get all the latest and breaking news over there on TexasFootball.com. No promo code needed. $3 for 3 months. And, of course, we hope you all have an incredible day. We'll be back tomorrow. So for Bobby Burton and Jerry Hamilton, I'm Blake Monroe, and we'll see you then.
Welcome home.